Imagine spending your entire adult life searching for one answer: who your father really is. Not for recognition, not for wealth, not for status, just the truth. That's the path Rhymir Carter has walked for more than 10 years. At the center of his pursuit stands Jay-Z, one of the most influential and wealthy icons in hip-hop. It sounds like the plot of a streaming series, but it's reality. Rhymir's journey began in childhood. Raised by his single mother, Wanda, who told him early that the man on his birth certificate wasn't his real dad. She claimed his biological father was Sean Carter. Before the fame, before the empire. Wanda recalled meeting Jay-Z in the early 90s when she was a teen in Philadelphia and he was in his 20s, chasing his dream. She said he took her to Brooklyn, to his aunt's home, and that's where their story began. Years later, Rhymir has made it his life's mission to uncover the truth. Even after Wanda passed away, she left behind sworn statements, signed records, and DNA tests, excluding the man once listed as his father. Every lead points back to Jay-Z, yet every legal attempt Rhymir has made hits a wall. Court delays, technicalities, shifting jurisdictions. It's been endless, and the situation gets even more complicated. Despite no DNA test ever being allowed, despite spending his own resources, Rhymir has been labeled everything from an opportunist to a liar. But listening to him doesn't sound like a man chasing riches. It sounds like someone exhausted from silence, judgment, and being overlooked. Enter 50 Cent. Known for calling out contradictions in the music world, reports suggest he's now supporting Rhymir. Not only that, but word is he plans to feature him in a documentary exposing the entire case. What was once a private matter is now turning into a public storm. A judge has recently ruled Jay-Z must respond in court by July 18th, a monumental step after years of the case being stalled. That ruling alone shifts the narrative, not just for Rhymir, but for the larger conversation about power and accountability. Some of the most startling claims suggest Jay-Z's camp once tried to resolve things quietly, allegedly offering to help Rhymir's music career, but everything was shut down when new lawyers stepped in. From then on, no communication, no assistance, no answers. Meanwhile, online criticism has been relentless, people mocking him, dismissing his claims. Yet when he speaks, his tone isn't bitter or loud, it's steady. He only wants clarity. Behind this saga lies a paper trail, sworn affidavits, property records, signed testimony, DNA exclusions. But one thing remains absent. Jay-Z has never taken the test, not once, which raises the simple question, why not? If he isn't the father, why not put the matter to rest? Looking back, Wanda said her encounter with Jay-Z happened before his rise, when he was still an ambitious rapper, moving between Philly and Brooklyn. She was a teen, vulnerable. He was already in his 20s. That timeline has caused outrage, because if she became pregnant at 15 and gave birth at 16, the math points to serious concerns beyond paternity. Wanda kept trying to reach Jay-Z after Rhymir's birth, but never received a response. She eventually listed her boyfriend at the time, Robert Graves, as the father. Years later, DNA proved he wasn't, and Rhymir decided to seek legal truth himself. In 2010, he filed his first case, but going up against a billionaire meant endless hurdles. Jay-Z's attorneys argued he couldn't be forced into testing in New Jersey since he didn't live there. Rhymir's side countered with proof he owned property in the state. Yet progress never came. Judges rotated, paperwork vanished, filings were rejected over errors. To Rhymir, it felt like the system itself was blocking him. His frustration grew beyond paternity. He began to see it as corruption and obstruction. His godmother, Lily Coley, became his most outspoken supporter, publicly claiming Wanda was underage and that Jay-Z's team had long known and worked to bury the story. There were talks of quiet deals, career boosts, even financial help. But once Rhymir refused to stay quiet, everything shifted. It felt like the music industry united to shield one of its most powerful names. Beyond the legal fight, the emotional burden has been heavy. Rhymir's story is one of growing up with rejection, ridicule, and unanswered questions. He says over and over, this is not about money or revenge, it's about identity. His mother passed away years ago, leaving him only a name, Sean Carter, and the conviction that he deserved the truth. The lack of response from Jay-Z's side has only deepened the wounds. For an artist whose image is built on family, legacy, and community pride, the refusal to engage is hard to reconcile. Why let this story linger for more than 10 years? Why not end it with one test? Unless perhaps the result could validate everything being claimed. That's why public perception is slowly shifting. More people are asking why someone with nothing to hide would avoid a DNA test for over a decade, especially now as scrutiny intensifies across the industry. Whispers are growing louder. The points are being drawn, and a storm is gathering around hip-hop's elite. And at the center, 50 Cent is adding fuel. True to his reputation, he's reportedly giving Rhymir a platform through a documentary project. Whether motivated by rivalry, truth, or just his usual bluntness, one thing is certain: this story isn't being buried. The deadline is set. By July 18th, Jay-Z must respond in court. The countdown has begun. For Rhymir Carter, this isn't about tearing down a superstar. It's about reclaiming something most people take for granted: knowing where you come from. As a child, he never asked to be linked to one of the biggest names in music. He never sought headlines or fame. All he wanted was an answer. And yet, at 32, more than half his life has been spent demanding acknowledgement from a man who continues to stay silent. When he speaks, his tone is calm, not angry. He isn't shouting into microphones or chasing publicity. He talks about his mother with deep respect, remembering how she told him repeatedly, "Sean Carter is your father." She said it so often that it became part of his reality. That consistency convinced him she was telling the truth. But she passed away before ever seeing closure, still dismissed as a liar by those trying to bury her voice. Rhymir now carries that mission as her legacy. For him, this fight is about honoring her last wish, uncovering the truth, no matter how long it takes. The allegations themselves raise serious concerns. Wanda was reportedly only 15 when she became pregnant, while Jay-Z was in his 20s. She said he drove her across state lines. But detail that brings up legal and moral issues far beyond paternity. But instead of addressing those questions, the system stalled. Judges rotated, files disappeared, clerks claimed errors, and the process dragged on. Jay-Z's team, armed with resources and powerful attorneys, blocked progress at every stage. Now, with major figures in hip-hop under scrutiny, the spotlight feels harsher than ever. Every rumor, every past whisper, every buried file is being re-examined. Jay-Z, once hailed as a brilliant strategist and cultural leader, is facing accusations of spending millions simply to avoid a cotton swab. It's the silence that hurts most. Rhymir says he cannot understand how someone who speaks publicly about family and building generational wealth refuses even to have a conversation with his alleged firstborn. He insists this is not about inheritance or fame. He doesn't want a seat at the Rock Nation table, nor a share of the fortune. He wants clarity. There are even claims that Jay-Z is pursuing legal action against Rhymir, including a possible gag order in an attempt to silence him. If true, it would suggest an effort to bury the story completely, but it's too late for silence. In the digital age, stories don't disappear. Public pressure is mounting, and this time, it isn't being controlled by lawyers behind closed doors. All Rhymir asks for is a DNA test. If the test shows Jay-Z isn't the father, the case ends there. But if it shows otherwise, everything changes. Not only for Rhymir, but for Jay-Z, his family, and the legacy he has built. One test holds the power to settle it all. And as July 18th approaches, the world waits to see whether Sean Carter will finally confront